living your life and you realize that you've just kind of been stuck in autopilot or just in the mundane where you get up, maybe get ready for work, go to work, come home, and you look back on the day and like, don't even remember what happened. Or maybe you don't even remember what you had for breakfast that morning. Who remembers what they had for breakfast this morning? All right, a few people. Okay, awesome. I feel like I've been doing this a lot. And, you know, in our society, there's like what success looks like is having a job, maybe having a family. And there's just this routine and this structure that we put a lot of value on. But I believe there is so much more to life than the structure and the routine. And there is more of this that we can do to follow this sense of aliveness and this vibrancy and listening to our inner truth and being our best selves in the world. I get stuck in autopilot sometimes when I'm driving, and you guys, you might have experienced this too. You ever just like go somewhere and you're driving along and you're like, wait, how the heck did I get here? Of course you're paying attention, but it's like you're stuck in your thoughts and you just kind of zoned out. I was driving along the other day to my friend's place, and I live in the country here in Silverton, and it's beautiful everywhere. So I'm driving along, and there's mountains on my right and a sunset on my left, and a big open field. And then there's this oak tree, you know, with the leaves all off of it. So you just see the lace of the branches. And on the oak tree, there was a bald eagle. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And I ended up turning around and taking a picture. But it was just one of those things where I was just stuck in the routine, but something snapped of like, be aware of the moment. And if I wasn't aware of that moment, I wouldn't have seen this beautiful scenery. One of my favorite quotes is by Howard Thurman, who is a civil rights activist. And he said, don't ask what, or don't, how I forget it. Don't ask what the world needs, but do what makes you come alive, and do that, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Woo! Yeah, I heard that quote over 10 years ago, and it has stuck with me ever since. And what does that mean to be alive? Now, it can mean different things for different people, but for me, it's about being mindful of the moment, where if I didn't snap back into the moment and be aware of my surroundings, I would have never seen this beautiful view. So it's about just mindfulness, and we can choose, you know, at every moment. There's so many sensory awareness and so much happening in our life experience, and we can choose what we choose to bring in and be aware of. And there is so much beauty and abundance and so much to life to appreciate. And that is this feeling of aliveness to me. But it's also on the other side of that is feeling the grief and the pain too. I believe that you can't experience grief without love. So this feeling of aliveness is like just acknowledging all of these edges of our being and in the world. I actually just took a walk before attending this Zoom meeting, and this day just felt so alive, where it was raining, but there was sunshine. I didn't get to see a rainbow like Victoria, but I know it was windy. So I was just like feeling the wind and the rain and the light and the dark. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is what feeling alive is to me. It's just like feeling all of these feelings and acknowledging them. Now, how I am just really excited to be living this life of feeling alive. And, you know, it doesn't happen overnight. And there have been some significant experiences in my life that have that happened and kind of changed how I choose to be in the world. And one of them, the first thing was that this summer I started a gratitude journal. Now, this was something that somebody recommended to me over 3 years ago. And on June 26th this summer, I decided to start a gratitude journal. And I don't really remember why. I just started doing it one day. So every night I try to write 3 things that I'm grateful for the day. And it's really interesting to go back and read through. And I can kind of read between the lines of what happened, but it's really amazing to reflect and and on the days and take that time to remember and remember those moments of gratitude. Actually, we were just reading through it a couple of nights ago, and one day I just wrote, "I'm grateful for the tears." I have no idea what I was sad about that day, but that just really stood out to me, of feeling alive, that you can be kind of feeling that both of gratitude and pain at the same time. And then just 1 week after I started my gratitude journal, I had a near-death experience. And I do not wish this on anybody, but I know quite a few people who have had these significant times in their life where they almost died. And when you have an experience like that, it really changed your ethos and your outlook on life. So on July 2nd of this past year, I went rafting with friends. I also love adventure, which is another thing that really makes me feel alive. And I went cliff jumping. A few people went before me, and I had jumped off cliffs in my life before, but a few people went before me. And then before I was about to jump, I was like, I'm going to do a flip off this cliff. And I was wearing my life jacket, thankfully. And I jumped off, but somewhere between jumping off the cliff and landing, I lost consciousness. So needless to say, I flopped into the water, needed to be rescued. Luckily, there was a nurse on the trip who was a friend who pulled me out of the water, and I needed a few breaths to get the water out of my lungs, and came back. It was probably more scary for the people who were with me than me, because I didn't know what was happening. But since that moment, there have been shifts in my being that I didn't even realize they were from that moment. And the first one is that life is too short not to live this full version of yourself. I have been living a vibrant life, and the people, my friends that know me, know that I'm fun and spontaneous. But part of that was kind of muffled, and I was living this muffled version of my life. And that just, I need adventure and spontaneity, and I need to keep doing that. Maybe no more flips off of cliffs, but I still want to jump off a cliff. And I will always wear my life jacket this time and make sure somebody is around that knows CPR. But just, I need to be living this adventurous, full life and being this vibrant self. And as you might have guessed, this was the story that I've never told my parents, and I had to warn them before they heard the speech. But I'm fine, Mom and Dad, see? And the second thing that I really took from this experience is that sometimes you have to trust other people to help you. As an independent woman who really values self-sufficiency, sometimes it's hard to ask for help, but I had no choice in that moment. My friend saved me. I believe that it's not how hard you fall in life, but it's the net that you've cast to catch you when you fall. And that net is, not only maybe somebody to save your life, and that could be your friends, maybe some financial stability, a house. We can create that net, and you all here today have been my net. And for me, it is my friends, my family, and also WomanSpeak has been an amazing net that has connected all of these parts of my experience. Just in the past 16 months that I've been in WomanSpeak, not only did I have this near-death experience, but I also went through 2 breakups, lost one of my best friends and soul sisters to suicide. My grandmother passed. I changed jobs, just so many life transitions and ups and downs. But Women Speak was this thread throughout that. And it was just really what I took from that is that it's a time where women came together and we met twice a month, and it was a time for me to reflect on what was happening in my life and to be heard and seen and appreciated. Kind of, it got me out of that mundane. Instead of just like keeping going, like these bad things are happening to me, I was able to just, be supported and seen by other women and have time to reflect on those experiences and what they felt like in my body and how are they helping and to shape me. There's also just this space to be my true self, to take up space, to share my voice. Again, I've kind of like been living this muffled version of myself, and Women Speak just gave me the confidence to speak up and to share my stories. And I don't think that I would be here being able to share these stories if it wasn't for Women Speak that really provided this net for me. So with that, with this kind of just feeling alive, one of the other things that is just going to make me feel truly alive is to support other people in feeling alive, which is why I am starting my own Women Speak facilitator business here in Oregon. And I will be the first Women Speak facilitator in Oregon. It's actually in a couple different countries, but for some reason, and it's in Northern California and Washington, but there's nobody doing it in Oregon yet. So I am just really excited to do this work and support other women on their journey of feeling alive.